So after this, it's time to get to work. And this is really where your own thinking will come in. We have structured 6 zones of experiment, which will unfold over the next 2 days. And in a moment, we'll start the first 2. It's these 6: urban governance, violence, conflict and social cohesion, economic science fiction, the commons, migrant nations, and power and decision making. They're not exclusive. There's always more. You might be working on different things. We get that. But those are 6 useful frames through which to explore new ways of working and get to these prototypes that Indy mentioned, which we need so much now. The first 2 sessions are going to be on the commons and on violence, conflict, and social cohesion. You will hear from extraordinary practitioners, and they will inspire you to start reflecting on your own work and what you could be doing next. I'll ask the hosts of these first 2 sessions to briefly explain their session. Now, some of you, many of you, have already indicated which one you want to go to. You can change your mind, as Millie said, and we trust the collective organism of this group that it will magically divide in exactly 50-50. That's just how it's going to work. We know that. But to make sure that you divide precisely right to the zone of experiment of your choice, I'd like to invite Marco Poletto from EcoLogic and Jonathan Cohen from Conciliation Resource to talk about their respective sessions. EcoLogic is a global studio doing the most phenomenal experiments themselves, and Marco will speak about his session first.
Thank you, Just. It's great to be here. Thanks, everyone. So very quickly, we are dealing with commons, and of course, we are going to have a look at the future of commons. And the first question is, what form future commons will take? How will they look like? What are they going to be made of? And so I took with me this little friend of mine, which is called Physarum polycephalum, just to help us visualize some ideas of future commons. Physarum polycephalum is a protist, is a monocellular organism, but within its network body, there are thousands, if not millions of nuclei that are afloat. And their interaction gives these little organisms which has no brain, no nervous systems, intelligence. Scientists have been puzzled by this, but they discovered that this mechanism of intelligence is due to the interaction, local interaction of these millions of organisms. So we will start to ask ourselves if we scale up to our urban infrastructures or our urban sphere, what are these nuclei made of? Maybe they are the particles of invisible dust that shape the atmospheres of our cities, the particles of pollutions we don't see but breathe every day. Or maybe they are data, they are information that are floating around, that they can be organized by the new blockchain-based generative networks. Or perhaps even living organisms, photosynthetic cyanobacteria that are growing on our buildings in our cities and transform them into biopower stations, feeding our cells and our network. So all of these you will see and more, I believe, with us later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commons with Marco and with Michel Bauwens from Peer-to-Peer Foundation and the Regen Network and Alice Sharp from Invisible Dust. Now, Jonathan.
Thanks very much. Is that working? Yes.
Yep.
Hi. So I'm going to be hosting the session on violence, conflict and social cohesion. And I'm sure that the issues at the heart of this are extraordinarily relevant for everyone here. We live in a world in which the cost of violence is so staggering it's hard to comprehend almost. A couple of years ago, one institute surmised that it was a $13 trillion cost a year. And that's such a big figure, it hardly makes sense. But when you think of the number of people who are displaced as a result of conflict, more than 70 million people in the world today, more people than live in the United Kingdom or live in Turkey, I think you begin to comprehend the scale of this. So we're going to be thinking about some of the ways in which new approaches, new technologies can unpack what can be done to address violence, what can be done to address the proliferation of conflict. And I'm going to have with me, hopefully if the technology works, a colleague based in the United States who helped conceive of the group, but unfortunately couldn't come because of inclement weather in the States and the flights wouldn't take off. So Julie Hawke from Build Up, which is a wonderful NGO doing a lot of work with youth and tech, will hopefully join us. But we will definitely have with us Paula Hidalgo Sanchez, who is from the UN Pulse Lab in Kampala, who'll be helping us think through issues around big data. And for someone from a peace-building environment who is not a tech specialist, the whole notion of big data is something that we hear a great deal about, but what does it actually mean as a practical means to enable us to operate in different ways? And then we'll also have with us Bob Trafford from an organization based in London called Forensic Architects. And for those of you who are in London, I'd recommend you to visit the Tate Britain Gallery, because Forensic Architects are currently one of the 4 contenders for the Turner Prize, which is a very highly regarded arts prize in the UK and Europe, in the world. And we're going to look with Forensic Architects at how they're using data and different forms of technology to actually deconstruct the way in which violence happens and help us think through how to address that. So I think it'll be quite an innovative approach and hopefully one that will get you thinking.
Thank you, Jonathan. So here's going to be the magic moment of self-organization. Half of you, those who want to go to the Commons session, stay here. The other half will follow Leila, who is emerging over there, to the museum room, which is a 2-minute walk.
Leila, keep your hand up.
Self-organize, and the sessions will start immediately. Thank you.
This is the risk. I'm going over there, but they haven't turned it. Now it's fine. This is the risk. I try not to speak. Microphone 3.
Great.
I didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, we start straight away.
Good.
We see you all there?
No.
We see you all there, right? Yes, and Michel Bauwens is first, right? Remember that.
Do you like it?
Let's
I think we started quite well. Yeah. What? We started quite well. We started well. I cannot speak for that.
I'm happy to.
You want to do the introduction a bit?
Absolutely. Great. Great, fabulous. I lost my notebook, which has the, yeah, it doesn't matter, but it has my zone of experiment timeline in it. Do you have a spare one?
Hello.
Those who want to stay in this room, could you please come to the front to fill the tables here? Great. No table numbers. Sit at the table, and we'll make sure that it's in order. Please come to the front for the Commons session. Fantastic. Yeah. Do we have, are you from tech? Do we have the first speaker online connected?
Yes.
We do? He's ready? Yeah.
So,
Sorry?
do you speak English?
Okay, we need
The
more.
problem is, you need to, you keep it on. You need to close, when I finish talking. Hello? It's still on.
Okay.
Kapala, Lütfen.
Okay.
When you speak, you turn off, and when you...
Can you tell them they keep my microphone on? We want people to move. Hello. Can you tell them to turn it off, please?
Yeah, we need more people. Exactly. We're going to put one of these here. Dear friends, could you clean the table? We're going to put one of these here. Thank you. Hello.
You're really rude, but is there any way of improving the Wi-Fi, or is it just what it is?
We're working on it. And we're furious. No, you're totally right to ask you. We're furious about it, and we're working on it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's good. We're good. Yeah. So you'll see appearing on the tables these large mats. Please sit at a table with one of those on them. Please come to the front if you could.